Okay, finance committee meeting, we wanted to go over a couple different things. The first thing that we're gonna go over are two ways that you can look at information, from the internet. So, New Mexico Dash, if you just type it into the search, the first thing that comes up in regards to New Mexico Dash, maybe.
Sticky.
Let's try again. It should not. I just got on. Well, let's skip this one. Let's go to New Mexico Vistas first. So on New Mexico Vistas, you can view by school or you can view by district. This is gonna provide us with all the state, information based upon Dexter schools. So you would scroll down. We're gonna look at the district. So this is from 23-24 school year. We had 805 total enrollment, 3 schools. I need to move over here. Yes, wanting to give you some space? Okay. And we can look at math proficiency, reading proficiency, our science proficiency. These are district-wide. This includes K through 12th grade. And then you can actually look in that information. This is proficient. So this means meeting grade level standards based upon the tests that they take for that grade. You can also see growth and the percentile growth in regards to our math growth is higher than our reading growth currently, and based upon that, our graduation rate is also up 0.9%. The other part of this that you can look at that I think is important for even the public to know, and I just wanted you guys to be aware of this, you can see like per pupil expenditures, how much it costs per student to educate them here at Dexter. You can look at it statewide for any school. You can see stuff on school climate, how many of our students take the alternate assessment, our teacher qualifications, so how many of them are experienced, inexperienced, how many of them came out of a different field, and always the Dexter is in like the peach color, and if you look at just New Mexico, it'll be in the teal color. So this information I think is just important for you guys to understand. It will be updated soon. Typically like September, October, they update it from the previous school year, but at least it gives you an idea of where we're currently sitting. In regards to this is math proficiency, we can look at this by all students, male, female, any subgroup of students as well. So this is something that I think even all the people in our community need to be aware of information-wise and just understand this piece of evidence. No questions?
No, that's pretty good. Let's see, other number.
Yes, so that way you, let's see if New Mexico Dash will come up. So New Mexico Dash on the public website, that's being very slow.
Mm-hmm.
So on the New Mexico Dash, this is where you can see the 90-day plans for each school. as of right now, as we head into a new school year, these will become updated by the middle of August, so that way you can see what each individual school's plan is for the 90 days before Christmas break, essentially. Numbers that we should have in case of emergency. So one of these will be at each of our schools in the office, so that way we have that information should we need it to use it. So it talks about what kind of training people have had, and this also helped us because we've been working on this at the end of this school year. We're now noticing like, hey, we don't have enough people trained in this. We need next year for to get more training on certain areas as well.
And this just got touched up on the 6th, correct?
So we actually had to create this,
Okay.
and that's why it says the 6th on there, is the fact that we had to go in and add all of this information. We are currently still awaiting PED approval, and we need, we had to provide you guys with a copy of it to look through and look at, and then to sign the assurances at the end that you guys had part of this as we're able to look through it.
I think these are questions that you can ask those kids.
Yes, like potential suicide, and some of these, like this page in particular, we will take those out and laminate them for every teacher, so that way they'll have that information, what to do in regards to threats of any kind, numbers to call for CYFD, or other information for crisis.
But did we finally, I know there was a lot of changes of where we would go and take the kids in case of a natural disaster like a tornado or,
Okay, so there's two things, and we've learned from this plan through PED. You need an evacuation site, which evacuation site typically just means you're leaving your building. So based upon that information, we have the access to other buildings, such as if we have something here, we can evacuate to elementary school, and it's all in this plan as well. And we can locate to here, and we have the football field as well. So that's evacuation. When we look at reunification site, which is different, that means we need to leave here and we need to get families and their students reunified in some way. Our first reunification site is the Presbyterian Church. Our second one, I'm currently trying to get approval for if we had to go out of town, the Hagerman, what is it called? Community Center. So that way we have something local that we have access to put students inside a building if it is weather related or whatnot. And the parking lot at the Presbyterian Church is easy enough for us to get in and out of with buses or families. Our plan is to do a reunification drill in the fall. So that way parents have that access to know, hey, what is this gonna look like if we would bus kids over there, and then we can have reunification from there. Just so we have practice, and even our teachers will have that information. So
it's no longer their state fairs, right?
So it is not, and the biggest issue is the fact that we need somewhere where we can actually get into quickly, and the fact that you have to still be able to get into that place. So if it was during the day, the state fairgrounds isn't always open.
Right.
If we don't get approval for Hagerman Community Center, I'll be looking at trying to get one of our other Valley schools to just swap unification sites with us. So like we could be a unification site for them, and they could be one for us, so we could use their gym, which I think also will work well.
So who's flying the drone for all the pictures?
Google Maps.
Google Maps, is that what it was?
Because you never know when you'll have fallen aircraft. For sure. Including high air winds that you might need to precautions for. We do have to update this every 3 years with the state. So between the 3 years, we are to keep updates every single year as we get new staff and things change. But the state, we have to turn it into them every year, or every 3 years.
I didn't catch what you were saying, but like, say for example, there's a tornado hitting right here, right, where it's trends that's going to hit here. But, so we can't stay here in Dexter or in any of our schools, right? Because we don't have no basements, no building to shelter. Would we be able to move to like the headlands and to not?
Yes, and so that's the whole reason to have two reunification sites. The first one being somewhere that maybe we just need to leave this vicinity, and then the second one to be able to get out of. And I think with this, right, this is a plan. This is great, but in reality, there's still some sort of variable in any plan that, based upon information, we may have to make a choice at that time due to the circumstances that are happening. However, at least all our people should be on the same page of what should happen in a typical, if everything is somewhat normal, or at least.
So, the lockdown procedure, we having any of those, or do you plan on having any of those?
So we're actually having active shooter as one of our back to school trainings,
okay,
which comes with the lockdown drill.
Yep.
According to statute, we have to have them, and so we have at the end of the school year filled the requirement for the year. The requirement is you have to have one for the first 4 weeks of school.
Okay.
So that includes fire drills, evacuation drills, and shelter in place. And then you have to have 4 the rest of the school year as well. So 8 total drills. So, yeah, we will. And as we went through this plan with PD, there's some information that we weren't aware of. So every time we have a drill, we are supposed to invite local law enforcement or local fire department, depending on the drill. And so we will do that as well in the future.
Nice.
That's part of this plan. And then like the last 15 pages are assurances. So anything from this is our plan to
How are we communicating with each other? Or you just
how are we communicating the plan to parents?
Yeah, say for example, there's a threat and we're having to evacuate, or
So we currently have put a letter on the website. We plan to, on the website, have a lot of information based on that. We will not put this plan on the website, however, but we have to send a letter home every single school year, which we have become aware of. And so we will be sending that note home at the beginning of the school year, as well as, I think it's important just through the school year just to say, hey, we had a drill, this is what it looks like. Your kid's gonna come home and talk about this. Mm-hmm.
Dang, this looks like a lot of work.
And for 3 separate schools. Well, we got it done.
Yeah, good job. Good.
so in case of a threat or something with the issue that we need to call police, so we'll be in touch to send him.
Well, this,
Or send whoever comes
Yes.
local, here
Um,
local, right?
well, and then they're gonna put it out to others. So this assurance just says, we are gonna communicate with these people this plan. They will have a copy of it. We will, invite them in, look at it, go through it, and that way we're proactive in regards to what that looks like. Yeah, that we'll share this with them, so that way they're not in the dark.
Okay.
So I really just need, if you will sign the last, this is the only page that we have to have print, name of school board, and it doesn't have to be president, just name of school board, that you'll just sign and date that we have. Okay, and then next, Cuddy actually called today, I didn't even have to talk to them about school board, position.
Okay.
So here's a little, graph that they presented to us on, in regards to terms and the election for this November.
Okay.
Let me have the stat page, I don't know that way you can. If that works, that way you can have it. So, just in case. I mean, at least thoughts anyways on what to do.
So this is what we were saying?
Yes, this is the positions that are open, and then the 2025 election, Louise, Nancy, and yourself will be up for reelection come fall. At the July meeting, we will have, what do they call the information we just got from them?
In July, we're gonna have a, finance update from RBC,
RBC, but then,
and then they'll have a resolution and stuff.
resolution for the election. That's what I was looking for. So be prepared, July meeting, we'll talk more about this, but they had sent this piece and we had talked about that, this weekend, and so I thought this was important for you guys to have, as such. Okay. Now to the, which is,
That's the budget approval
oh,
signature.
so, here's one that hopefully I will be able to answer all the questions of, actually, Jeannie is here to answer all the questions for finance. So, you're gonna get this sheet out that she gave you. They go together. It's in your packet, sorry. This one? It looks like this. This one is just how I'm gonna start giving you guys my absences, because I can print it off on the computer of where I'm going and just, and that way you guys have a heads up and I have an easy way to, it should probably be right with the budget stuff, right there. Okay, so we talked about, so budget in general. This small sheet gives you each fund. Jeannie's she's gonna have to chime in here, and then this long one that I gave you breaks it down into each function.
Okay.
So that way, we would like to go through this and have some dialogue about these. So if you have questions, now's your time to ask questions. So I did this with Jeannie today.
Yeah.
So the general operations, hopefully, we've talked about that. That's like the big pot of money that we get, based upon,
The 85 to 89% of it is your object, right? Go ahead.
what? Okay,
Go ahead.
based on that, all of these 1,100 funds on this page belong to this fund, function, sorry. I'm gonna get wrong, Jeannie, you're gonna have to get
But
this how I
fund
am.
function.
Fund, 1100 fund, here are the functions that fit under that. Instruction, support services,
Mm-hmm.
general, central office. All of those 11,000s, they're 11, see, shoot.
You got it?
All of the 11,000s, this is when we do bars if we move between.
Okay.
Is there any questions on the 11,000s?
So,
Yeah, go ahead,
I didn't
Jean,
think-
no, you're
I
good.
didn't think about this earlier, Molly, but we also will present bars within the function. They're called maintenance bars, it's just cleaning up lines.
Okay,
So you'd see those too. I didn't think about that, Molly.
Okay, well, that's okay.
I have a question, so
Yes.
right here, you're saying that this one is all of these, right?
Yes.
How it's divided,
Yes.
and we're getting this,
The invoice,
okay.
that's a good way to, okay.
So does the remaining
Remaining,
and this is the-
reflect, does that reflect encumbrance or no? Or does it have it already?
Encumbrance is included in what's remaining, yeah. The
Okay,
encumbrance is accounted for.
okay,
so the remaining doesn't include the encumbrance, like, we need to still spend, not necessarily, we're not spending, because you can roll this over to the next school year, right?
So, but that encumbrance is, so our budget balance includes what's been spent year-to-date plus what's been encumbered.
okay.
Yeah, so that
And
percentage,
this kind of is spoken for, so you're subtracting
it
that
is,
already?
it's, yeah.
Okay.
So the budget balance is supposed to be, that's the total of all of these accounts?
No.
That's the balance of that, or no?
No, that's what we have left in the account.
Out of your 11,000?
That's the budget we have left.
Okay, so,
What do you mean?
Yeah, your fund life.
here.
Okay.
You'll hear us refer to that 11,000 as operational, sometimes general operations.
Yeah.
And then, so based upon that, we can roll over general operations.
Okay, and that's actually what I was referring to, so that's what, it's like, is it 89% of the budget is?
So almost all of our budget is, yes, operational. I want to look at my pie chart from before.
Yeah,
But, because, the rest, the debt service is a very small piece. Yeah, but
Okay.
operational, and then they kind of, it's our day-to-day operation, how we run the district.
Yeah.
So out of operational is gonna come your salaries, your utilities,
Because
it
was June 9th. Oh.
I had her
travel,
print this today,
travel.
yeah.
Okay, I see.
Yes. So Juanita asked why is, when she looked at the, bottom, the 11,000 total, why is there a difference? And that's because I had Jeannie run this June 9th, and this other was ran May 31st.
oh, I see.
Not that we could have definitely ran them the same, but we didn't think about it when we,
think about it.
So right now, for the funding, for all of this, we only have this as the balance.
correct.
And when do you have to have everything cleaned up and balanced by?
June 30.
June 30th?
And that, so like in operational, that 6.4% is not, I hate to use the word accurate, but accurate, because you've got to, just like at home, we think our electric bill is gonna be this much,
Yeah.
but then it ends up being less. We overestimate on we call them open POs.
Mhm.
Say within operational, Chris Ferguson has an open PO to Fuller Supply for supplies. We very seldom use everything we put on there because we want to overestimate to keep us from going the wrong way.
Yeah, okay.
So, I think that fund kind of is, like, that's the big one where the majority, but the information on these others is kind of where, I learned a lot today. So pupil transportation, this is our transportation fund, in regards to bus, like, not activity bus, but our day-to-day busing services. This fund does not roll over. So I thought that information is, like, what we don't spend in that regard, we lose. But here's another reason we may need a bar. We have open POs as we use maintenance on these buses. And so when we, at the end of the school year, when we go to close those, and if something is more or less than what we thought, we may need to roll some operational funds to the transportation, and that's why we do a bar.
Okay. Yep.
Because this transportation fund is a separate,
Kind of, we really won't, we won't roll,
see, look, you should have done this.
No,
we
you're
won't
doing
roll
good. Keep going.
operational budget into transportation, but say we have a big, and right now that's showing a hefty balance, but for example, I have an open PO to Roberts Bus for $4,000 that it looks like we're not gonna use. So there are things like that. So many times, a lot of times in transportation, we do end up short and we subsidize. What we do is transfer an expenditure. So maybe we